wave and say give you a thumbs up. Soon to be here. I saw the sticker we put on the simulator. Oh yeah, we got the sim on the sticker. Yeah, it was yesterday afternoon.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the Kennedy Space Center. You know, it's been almost 9 years since July 4th of 2011. That's the last time a crew flew into the shuttle landing facility on their way to space. And I can't tell you how great it is to welcome Bob and Doug here for this historic mission. You know, I look at what we've accomplished. You know, this is a whole new way of sending people to space. The commercial crew program. This really is monumental. And I consider all the things that we're doing, you know, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I couldn't be more proud of the role that KSC has had to play in enabling U.S. astronauts flying on U.S. rockets from here at the Cape once again. Absolutely outstanding. So great to have you guys here. And you're going to hear from Bob and Doug in just a minute. But before they get a chance to talk and get introduced, it's my privilege and honor to introduce our NASA administrator, Jim Bridenstine. Jim has been a huge advocate for the commercial crew program, and his leadership, you know, he's been a strong supporter of the government commercial partnerships, a new way of doing business at NASA, and especially here at the Kennedy Space Center. And, you know, like Doug and I, Jim is also a naval aviator, and I kind of wonder if maybe he wouldn't like to trade places with Doug. I know I sure would. So, Jim, over to you, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. Bob, yeah, thank you. Bob, it's great to be here at the Kennedy Space Center where history is made over and over again, and Bob, your leadership has really transformed this facility. As you mentioned, July 4th, 2011 was the last time we had crew arrive to take off on a shuttle flight. But I would also like to say that was a tough time for the agency. It was a tough time for the Kennedy Space Center. And because of your hard work and determination and so many others here at the Kennedy Space Center, we are on the cusp of launching American astronauts on American rockets from American soil yet again. And as you said, Bob, this time we're doing it differently than we've ever done it before. NASA is not going to purchase, own, and operate the hardware the way we used to purchase, own, and operate the hardware. We are partnering with commercial industry with the intent that they would go get customers that are not NASA and drive down our costs and increase the access to space. And ultimately have multiple providers that are competing against each other on cost and innovation. And of course, that's what this commercial crew program that NASA has been pushing forward on for so long, that's what this program is in fact all about. I'm going to turn it over to the astronauts here in just one second, but just to put a historical significance on this moment in time. This will be the 5th time in American history when we have launched American astronauts on a brand new vehicle. We did it in Mercury, Gemini, Apollo. We did it with the space shuttles, and now we're going to do it on a SpaceX Falcon rocket with a Crew Dragon space capsule. And it's these gentlemen that are going to have the opportunity to pioneer once more for the United States of America in what is this new era in human spaceflight. So this is a very historically significant moment. And I also want to say that I know times are tough right now. You know, Bob Cabana and I have been walking around in our masks. Everybody wants to shake hands, and yet we have to resist. We just welcomed our astronauts, and we couldn't shake. We're waving from 6 feet away, and we're looking at all the media that are here, and everybody's wearing their masks. This is a tough time in American history. It's a tough time in world history. But it is not unique to the times that we saw in the 1960s. We had a war raging in Vietnam. We had protests. We had civil rights abuses and civil rights protests. We had division in this country, the likes of which were never seen before. And at the same time, NASA was able to unite not just the United States of America, but we were able to unite the world in this very unique moment when we saw Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin land on the moon. Now here we are in this point where NASA has not had access to the International Space Station with its own rockets now for 9 years. And this is a moment when we can all look and be inspired as to what the future holds. We have a moment in time when we don't just have to reflect on how difficult things are right now, but we can talk about how bright things are going to be in the future. And with that, I just want to say thank you to Bob and Doug for the great work you're about to do, the amazing work you've already done, veterans of multiple space shuttles each, space shuttle flights each, and just you're the best that America has to offer. And we're thrilled that you're willing to take on this mission to once again return American astronauts on American rockets from American soil to the International Space Station. So with that, I'll turn it over. Bob Behnken, I'll turn it over to you first to say a few words, and then you can turn it over to Doug, and then it's over to you guys. You guys are going to be answering questions. So with that, Bob, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, sir. We really appreciate the introduction and would like to thank Colonel Cabana for his leadership both here at the Kennedy Space Center and back at the Johnson Space Center when we all entered our service as astronauts. He was the chief of the office and welcomed us aboard, and so we've been under his tutelage or leadership for quite some time, and we really appreciate that. Both Doug and I are really excited to be here. This is an awesome time to be an astronaut with a new spacecraft, to get a chance to go and fly. As graduates of military test pilot schools, if you gave us one thing that we could have put on our list of dream jobs that we would have gotten to have someday, it would have been to be aboard a new spacecraft, be conducting a test mission aboard that spacecraft, and Doug and I get that chance to do it. So we're thankful for that opportunity, and we view it as an opportunity, but also a responsibility for the American people, for the SpaceX team, for all of NASA that's put this opportunity together and entrusted us with it. And so just excited to be back in the great state of Florida at the Kennedy Space Center, headed toward 39 Alpha, and a chance to launch again from American soil on an American rocket. Thank you.
That's good.
Yeah, over to you, Doug.
It's just, it's an incredible honor to be back here at Kennedy Space Center. Bob and I started out, our first astronaut jobs were here at Kennedy. So we spent the first 3 or 4 years after we were ASCANs launching, or helping to launch, obviously, shuttles into space. And this is a very, very special place to us. It's almost like a home away from home. So it's great to be back. It's an incredible time for NASA, the space program. Once again, launching U.S. crews from Florida, and hopefully just a week from about right now, which is incredible. I happen to have been one of the 4 astronauts that landed here almost 9 years ago in T-38s on the 4th of July of 2011 to close out the space shuttle program. So it's incredibly humbling to be here to start out the next launch from the United States. Also want to thank the incredible men and women of SpaceX, from Hawthorne to McGregor and here at Kennedy, that have put so many thousands of hours of work into this rocket and to this spacecraft. And we're looking forward to getting up close and personal with Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon here in just a few days. Thanks again for everybody at home supporting us and supporting NASA. This is a great time in America to be able to do this again, and Bob and I are honored to be the lucky ones to fly this vehicle. Thank you.